Let's look at example B, our last example. The height of the longest slide in the world in Vermont, USA drops 213 meters in a horizontal distance of 1,200 meters. How long is the slide and what's the angle of inclination of the slide? So here our picture would look something like this, very schematically drawn, because obviously, well, maybe a slide would do that, but a slide probably doesn't go straight down, probably does a bunch of loops like a water slide. Here's our picture. We have some kind of slide going down, and it drops 213 meters over a horizontal distance of 1,200 meters. How long is the slide? Well, look, we have a handy dandy right angle triangle. If we have two legs of a right angle triangle, we could calculate this side. This side is the hypotenuse. It's the opposite side, or the opposite side to the right angle. So this, I can calculate the hypotenuse. I use my Pythagorean theorem. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. A and B are the legs, 213 squared plus 1,200 squared. Start to punch that into your calculator. You get 14, 8, 5, 3, 6, 9. 1,485,369 is C squared. If I want C, I have to take the square root of those. C is equal to the square root of that, which is 1218.757. 1,218 meters long. Question B, what is the angle of inclination of the slide? What is this angle? Let's call this angle X. Label our triangle. Well, I have the hypotenuse labeled already. 213 would be our opposite side. 1,200 would be our adjacent side. I go to my formula. Tangent of an angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. Substitute what I know. Well, I know it's tangent of X, which is equal to my opposite, which is 213 over 1,200. Tangent of X is equal to some funky decimal number. That funky decimal number comes from 213 divided by 1,200, and I don't have it written down, so I'm going to quickly calculate it. 213 divided by 1,200, 0.1775. Again, I've got this funky decimal number. I'm looking for an angle. I think to myself, well, I have to use the inverse function of tangent. If I think tangent of X is equal to this, then angle X has to equal the inverse tangent of 0.1775, which equals 10.065 or 10 degrees. Now, another way to save yourself, well, that's our answer. Pause there, sorry, a little bit too fast. Another way to save yourself a little bit of grief in having to write these values out all the time is to think, well, from this step, I know that's going to give me some ugly decimal number. I know I'm looking for an angle. So I say, well, if tangent of X is equal to 213 divided by 1,200, then the angle X has to be equal to the inverse tangent of 213 over 1,200. And if you punch this in your calculator, making sure that that's in brackets, you'll get to the same place. Just saves you a little bit of grief, maybe a little bit of toil, writing down all those long decimal numbers, because you do have to carry those decimal numbers, because even just a slight change in, say, the 10,000th or the 100,000th spot could give you a different angle measurement. If you're getting a different angle measurement, then you're definitely going to have the question wrong. Okay. I've got lots and lots of practice. I think I've got some practice questions even prior to this assignment, which is unfortunate because I don't think I handed them out. But we'll deal with that on Monday or Tuesday or whenever I see you again. But remember, though, if you can always get started, and the only way to get better at any of these kind of problems and questions, because it is the first time you've probably seen this, is to practice, practice, practice.